Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother our mother isn't a robot and is allowed to be sad? My brother and his wife like to do their own thing. They are much more my way or the highway than compromising. The big issue right now is that they eloped, which they are allowed to do obviously. He told everyone last night at dinner. It was a big shock to everyone since for the longest time they didn't want to marry. When he told the news, our mother told him congratulations, but it was clear that she wasn't very happy about it. She didn't say anything, but her congratulations were forced and she looked close to crying. I asked if she was fine when cleaning up. Mom was sad that she didn't get to see him get married, but overall she would be fine. My brother gave me a call later that night and he had an issue with her response. He wasn't happy at all that she wasn't very excited. That him and his wife found it disrespectful. I asked if Mom said anything to him and he confirmed she didn't. I told him that Mom isn't a robot and she is allowed to be sad. That she didn't get to see her kid get married and being sad isn't an odd emotion to have about it. This started an argument and he thinks I am being a jerk for defending her. Top comments. Not the a-hole. The only villain here is your brother, but not for eloping. I get that. Some people need that freedom and independence to just do whatever they need to do. But if you're going to be that person, you have to make space for people to be disappointed that they missed out on something. Turning around and being upset that your mother was upset that she didn't get to attend your wedding is wildly immature. That's the real word here. It's immature. Again, the precipitating actions, eloping, telling your mother at dinner, aren't villainous in and of themselves. But you can't exclude people from things and get upset with them for feeling bad about being excluded. This is children on the playground level maturity, and your brother isn't even there. Not the a-hole. Why should he get to police your emotions about an event he didn't want you at? Like you said, he's entitled to get married in whatever way he wants with whichever people he wants present. Your mom is allowed to respond to the news however she feels. Tell your brother that if he didn't care about your mom's feelings when he was getting married, he shouldn't care too much now. Kinda silly that her reaction is so important to him but her presence at his wedding wasn't. Next story. Am I the a-hole for missing my sister's wedding after she scheduled it on a date she knew I might not make it? Sister and fiancé, both early 40s, are getting married after many years of dating, first marriage for both, but they'd been casual about this from the get-go. They decided to get married randomly after a conversation with friends prompted it, no proposal, wanted a courthouse ceremony and just a party with their friends. Our family has blown this up a bit. It seems to be moving now more towards a backyard wedding with friends and family. Several months ago while they were discussing dates, my sister asked me what my availability was because I'm the only family that lives far away and I have 3 young kids, so I'm the most difficult to pin down. We talked through my schedule and I gave her dates that were kind of like no, maybe, and yes, absolutely. She said she was planning on those, yes, time frames anyways, so, awesome, this will be great. Save the dates go out via email a few weeks later, and she set a date that was on my maybe weekends. I call and ask what's up. She said her and finance also kicked dates around with friends, and this was the one that seemed to work for them, so they decided to do that. The maybe reason for me was related to other travel I have already scheduled. Trying to get back to my hometown with my whole family is no longer an option. Now it becomes only some of us go, and not others, or we fly out on different days. It's a mess to navigate. She says, hey, it's okay. I want you there, but I understand. I talked to my spouse, we decide it's too much to navigate, too expensive to make it work, we're not going. My sister seems fine, she keeps downplaying mom and dad making a big deal out of this, says it's not even a wedding, yada yada. I'm feeling okay, but my siblings and my parents are absolutely ripping me to shreds over this. They are piling on the heaviest guilt trips, accusing me of not caring about family and crap like that. Like I should just cancel and eat the cost of other things I've already paid for, and can't get refunded, and drop thousands of dollars to fly my family to this wedding that my sister scheduled to happen on a weekend when they knew I may not be able to attend. So Reddit. Am I the a-hole for skipping this wedding? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister is planning her wedding knowing you might not be there. You had discussed this possibility. Your family shouldn't even be involved. They're the ones creating drama where none exists. Enjoy your trip. Opie replies. My siblings seem to think my sister is being nice and telling me it's okay because she doesn't want to guilt trip me. Knowing her, that's not outside the realm of possibility, but also she made some comments about how my kids would have been the only kids there, that gave me the vibe that she didn't want kids running around the backyard wedding either. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my in-laws I won't let my husband's stepbrother stay with us once he said no? My husband, 30M, has a stepbrother, 31M, and they do not get along. They never did. They also don't consider each other family, brothers, or anything of the sort. His stepbrother will occasionally, from what I know, try the whole "we're brothers" thing when he wants something. But my husband has never and will never consider that man his family, and if his mom and stepdad divorced tomorrow or if his mom were to die, he would never have another thing to do with his stepbrother and would not feel the need to stand by him if both his mom and stepdad were to die and they were the last of the family. He was always clear with me on that. He did not invite his stepbrother to our wedding and told his mom that she didn't have to come either if she was unhappy with his choice. There has been absolutely zero contact for 4 years now. My husband's stepbrother lived in another state and didn't come back to visit his dad/my husband's stepdad, which was the only contact either had in their adult years. Now he's returning to be closer to his dad, or has returned, and he was looking for a temporary place to stay while apartment hunting. Right now he's with my in-laws, but he has a big commute to work, according to the three of them, and mother-in-law asked if my husband and I would let him stay with us for a few weeks until he gets a place figured out. My husband said no. Told his mom and stepdad not to offer money or another incentive because he does not want his stepbrother here, and that's final. So mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law called me up and asked me if I would say yes and get my husband to accept it. They told me it would mean so much and maybe the two of them could finally bond and act like brothers. Mother-in-law told me it would be for max 9 weeks. And that he would behave and wouldn't fight with my husband. I told her none of that mattered because my husband said no, and that was what mattered to me. She told me to think of family and our future kids and having an uncle. I told her again, it didn't make a difference to me. Stepfather-in-law told me as my husband's wife I could help influence him in a positive way. When I still reiterated that my answer was no and I stood by my husband's answer, they told me I should be helping and not encouraging this BS. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your in-laws are trying to play the two of you off each other, which shows a shocking lack of understanding of the situation or some delusion that your husband can be convinced into a relationship. Do they think you're not going to mention this attempt to your husband? Do they think that he is going to react well to this little stunt? Opie replies. I think they thought my husband wouldn't care. And he's not saying anything to them about this. But he isn't happy with them either. He's holding it in for now, which will give them a false sense of him being fine with it. Not the a-hole. Make sure to tell your husband his parents went behind his back to convince you to let stepbrother stay. Opie replies. I told him. He was not happy but decided to say nothing this time. Not the a-hole. If they haven't bonded by now, what makes his parents think this is the way? I think they may just want stepbrother out of their house. In the end, no means no, it is a complete sentence and they should be pressuring you or hubby to change it. Opie replies. Because they're both adults seems to be the consensus from in-laws. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend she needs to get a real job and she will never be a famous comedian? I 31M and my girlfriend is 28. Her and I have been together for 6 years and have been living together for the last 2. Going to attempt to keep this short, so please ask for details if I leave something out. Girlfriend has always enjoyed doing comedy and has done open mic nights since we've met shortly after college. She had a real sales job though that was her Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job where she made decent money. I have a good but hard job and make almost triple what my girlfriend was making when she had her job. I said had because last August she quit her job because it was taking away from her comedy ventures. She told me a year from now she thinks she can really make it. I was a bit skeptical, but since I make enough to support us, I encouraged her because I want to be a supportive boyfriend. Since she quit her job, she began doing Uber and DoorDash, which is where she makes 100% of her money. Her comedy has gotten us $0. Over the past few months I have started to resent her though. She constantly complains she has no money, yet drives for Uber or DD maybe 3 times a week for maybe 4 hours at a time. I have been paying a lot more for household expenses and I'm not saving as much as I'd like to anymore. She sleeps till noon because sometimes her open mics run real late before she even gets to perform. And when she gets up she just bums around on TikTok and YouTube looking for inspiration. She also gets very moody with me if I don't come to 90% of her open mic performances. Even after working a 14-hour day she will get mad if I don't go to her open mic at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Last night, I did the unthinkable. I asked her to consider going back to a full-time job. I said she should still do her comedy but I'm struggling with taking care of our expenses all by myself. When she gave a dismissive answer, I told her firmly that she will never be a famous comedian. I said she's 28 and it's time to grow the F up and join the real world because this is totally unfair to me that I bust my butt while she lives in La La Land. And that she can't be this naive at this age by thinking she's going to support herself with this. She stared at me in silence for a few minutes, started crying and went to stay with a friend. She called me a hole and I'm the worst friend ever. She has not answered her phone today yet. So am I the a-hole? Top comments. Everyone sucks here, mostly her. Yes, she is clearly not putting in her fair share with work and bills and your frustration over having to handle most of the expenses while she pursues her comedy ventures is justified. But you really lost steam towards the end. While I realize you make some good points, that message got warped when you completely blew up and demeaned her. Opie replies. Sigh. I know I lost my cool and said some things I shouldn't have. Not the a-hole. The reality is people are flawed. You are frustrated taking care of a grown adult who is content freeloading off you while she sleeps till noon and barely works part-time. So your anger boiled over and you said some harsh things. If she wants to be a comedian she can work a full-time job and make her dream a side gig. Just like she would have to do if she had to pay her own big girl bills. It's been almost a year. Time to grow up, pay them bills. For me it's not even an ultimatum. My partner would have to get a job that pays bills and 1/2 the rent or we would be done. Opie replies. Oh, I am thinking if she refuses to change we will be done. But then it's my name on the apartment, not hers, so I don't know where she will live. I don't know how she will survive. Not the a-hole, I don't care if I get downvoted. Well, you need to have an adult conversation instead of yelling at her. My guess is you're over it at this point. If she was a man and you a woman, people would be jumping on her for not providing, but because she's a woman she gets a pass to pursue what she wants without a thought to how to pay bills. Guess what, women need to provide too. If I pursued my dreams full-time at her age I'd be flat broke now. I had to take care of my responsibilities first. She's walking a fine line relying on you financially when you're not even married. I would apologize for a blow-up but also be real with her. What's she going to do for money if you dump her? She needs to wake up and get a job. She will have to do her open mic nights on the side of that. What else is there to do? You are not obligated to provide for her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling a girl she's ugly in front of her coworkers? I have a friend who's obsessed with beauty, by which I mean bone structures, lip width, and other anatomical stuff. She spends a lot of time on those weird groups where they analyze celebrities' facial features. They think that most are mid LOL. Anyway, it's weird, but I don't mind that. I mean, I read Simpsons fan theories and look for clues when watching the show later. My point is that some people have strange obsessions, and it's okay as long as they're healthy. Sadly, her obsession isn't healthy, in my opinion. Sometimes, when we hung out, she would bring her cousin, who's objectively pretty. She got a modeling offer without even stepping into a modeling agency. She's nice, so I didn't mind, but then my friend started comparing us, which is super random. I mean, she's skinny, has dark blonde hair and blue eyes, and I'm overweight, with black, curly hair, and overall, we are completely opposite. So my friend would tell her cousin how pretty she is and how she's jealous of her getting this modeling contract. She was talking about how beautiful her body is and would ask me to confirm. For example, her face structure is superb. Do you agree? No wonder she's a model, right? I mean, she is pretty, but like, who cares? I don't know, I just don't get why it's important. Now that's the part where I got angry. She would also often say things to me like, your face is so fat, and your boobs are way too big, or your nose is weird. Well, you get it. But once she said that I look like a used 30-year-old, which is old according to her. Used? I asked. And she said, yeah, you look like a 30-year-old woman who drinks and sleeps around a lot. You know, used. I can't believe you're actually so modest and don't drink. It doesn't look like that at all. Then she laughed super loudly like it's a really funny joke. Now this kind of thing happened a few times, but it was way less extreme. This time it was not only unhinged but also in front of a group of people, most of which are her coworkers and her cousin. Now that's where I might have crossed the line. I said she might be analyzing all of those faces, but it doesn't change the fact that she's ugly. She looks like sad horse, and in order to change that she would need plastic surgery. Lots of it. At least I can improve my face with makeup. She can't. Honestly, I felt guilty immediately. And some of the people in the group later said I should have let her have it because she's just some girl from a village who doesn't always know boundaries. I mean, I get that, but it's time to learn those boundaries because being this clueless is crazy. It's not being brutally honest, it's just being brutal. I know that she's the a-hole, but am I? Maybe I shouldn't get on her level and be the bigger person. TLDR, my beauty-obsessed friend kept critiquing my looks and comparing me to her model cousin till one day I snapped by saying she looks like a horse and it made her sad. Top comments. Not the a-hole. She picked the fight. You are the a-hole for the long paragraph. It's longer than a giraffe's neck. Not the a-hole. It was cruel of her to say those things to you, and people can't be surprised when they agitate others on purpose and act like a bully and someone verbally snaps back. I don't know how anyone could be friends with someone like that. She sounds insufferable. Just some girl from a village who doesn't always know boundaries. Ditch these crappy enabling friends. What the F kind of logic is this? Not the a-hole. Everyone sucks here. How old are you all? Because you act like you are mean 13-year-old brats. Friends do not talk to each other like this, enemies do. Walk away from this toxicity. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.